Yeah, in reading your book, you could see the progression, and you had these ebbs and flows. As someone who lives on the water, you had these ebbs and flows all throughout your life, throughout your day. You to read your book, you lived minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day,
Yep.
and it was just constantly trying to fight back that escalating, that skyrocketing cortisol, that pressure. That it's a tragedy. It's so unfortunate that you didn't have the opportunity to experience the beginning of your life the way you should have. But how many people do?
Right, and I always, I've been coaching for years, but I do sales coaching and I do business coaching, as you know. And I always tell people, even if they don't own a company, put an INC, after your name, because you're in charge of yourself. Essentially, if you work for somebody, it's still your company, it's still your time, it's your values, it's whatever it is you're doing, it's you. So I blame myself, and by blame I mean because I never told anybody. I've known my wife since I'm 15 years old, and my wife, and she's going to be embarrassed when I say this, but she was a prom queen. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful inside and out. And I don't want to. Here I am as a mechanic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to show vulnerability. I don't want to show, look at me. I can't even leave my house. I'm crying by the toilet because I got to go to a sales call.
And you have 17 years on me, and I know my generation was unforgiving. And you grew up in a different era where it was hazing was allowed, bullying was. Nobody knew what bullying was. You just got picked on and got your ass kicked.
Right.
Like, you grew up in a very different time,
Right.
where if you showed weakness, like a pack of wolves, society would have devoured you.
Right. Which is probably one of the reasons why I was a bouncer, because it was my way of being the alpha male at the time.
Yeah.
Because in my head I was always the omega, mentally I was the omega, and I would look at guys and not physically. Oh, can I take him? Can he take me? It wasn't that. It was more
all the
of
time.
right, but it was more of I've got this weakness following me. I got this bully following me around, and on top of that, that was my chance to sit at the door and say, you can come in, you can't go out, you can come in, you can. So I guess it was more of that mentality of being a bouncer.
At the same time, you probably needed that. Like, that little bit of reassurance gave you perhaps a little bit of that confidence to fight back the next episode, and so, you know what I mean?
I always thought there was a weakness.
Yeah.
It's a weakness. It's a mental weakness. Although it's a mental illness.
Yeah.
Now that I know it's a mental illness, back then I thought it was a weakness. So, okay, how do you take care of that mental illness? You go totally the other way. You lift heavy weights and you go kick people's ass.
Yeah.
And that was my way of fighting it. And that's what I did for years and years and years, and nobody knew.
So you want to laugh? So, and my wife knows this. Yeah, I'm sure all my friends know growing up because I used to get my balls busted. But I used to walk around. My buddy used to call me ILS, imaginary lat syndrome. He said, when you start working out,
Watermelon arms.
he said, you look like a valet, like you're always carrying luggage.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a cobra
Yeah.
trying to intimidate you. It flares out its head, its neck. And I was doing the same thing. Like, I was deep down, I knew. I was never trained how to defend myself. I knew how to fight, but I was afraid. But for some reason, that's where my brain always went. Anytime I went into a social situation, or we were going out to a bar in Providence or something like that, that's where my brain would go. I would prepare not to go have a good time, to meet girls, to have fun with my friends, go listen to the band. Nope. I was preparing the whole time for war. And you know what? It never happened. It never happened.
Yeah.
So I think back to how many nights I had myself psychologically prepared, like I was going to get into some massive brawl, and it never happened.
Steve, I got to be honest with you. I never thought that, because on my nights off, I didn't want to think that way. My thoughts were, and I'm going to say this honestly, because it was back in the 80s, and it was more of, let's go have fun. Let's go to bars, let's go dance, let's go drink, let's go drink, let's go
skiing,
drink.
yeah.
And we had a blast. I mean, I got to be honest with you, the 80s, and growing up, other than this baggage I was carrying around, and that's why. And when I owned the gym, we were like a pack of wolves.
Mm-hmm.
It was always groups. Mm-hmm. We used to take vans, go to Red Sox games. We used to
feed
go to
off each
Boston.
other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was when I was alone. I was in the shower, and like I said, my wife used to travel, so I used to have my buddies sleep over. Hey, come on over. It was 20-something years old. I want my buddy to sleep over at my house. They never knew why, because I didn't want to be alone. Mm-hmm. As sad as it sounds. I look back at that guy now, and I want to say to him, why the F did you not talk to somebody? Why didn't you just get help? Why didn't you say something?
Yeah. But you can't, I feel like you'll just drive yourself crazy. looking back and trying to change the past.
Yeah, those days are over. I don't do that anymore.
No, I think at this point you're in. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Brian, out of all the people I've met in my life, you are the most successful, established. I mean, there aren't in the dictionary. There are not enough kind words to say about a human being. But the fact that you've managed to accomplish all that with this, I'm even more impressed.
Steve, I'm gonna say this to you. I won't use that word. There are so many people I look up to, and so many people that have so much more. But what I've been through emotionally and physically, and what I've done and what I've accomplished, and I say this to you as a friend, I'm in awe of the person that went through that, and here I am sitting here talking to you about the book, Scared to Death, Do It Anyway, about totally being in prison. And I put up a little something yesterday that just came to me, a mental prison, because you were in a mental prison. And without getting too much into what I do, is what I used to do, is sales.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not only competing, and I can get into story, we'd be here for hours, but you're competing with 1,200 other manufacturers and brokers and distributors. I'm competing just myself, just trying to get to the customer.
Yeah, you're trying to get in the car to get to the appointment.
Exactly.
That's it.
And then once I get there, then I have to compete with everybody else. So I always say that not only was I competing with everybody else, I was competing with my head.
You're fighting so many battles at the same
It's
time.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm circling back. That's why I say to you, I'm in awe of that person that's sitting here now talking to you with a very, very successful company that's been through that. And hopefully people look at this and they'll go, wow, he's full of himself. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is say, look at that guy. If he can do it, and I hate to use the cliche is, I can too.